You're listening to Real Talk Texas on 570 KLIF News and Information. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert Steve Hakes.
This morning, I'm honored to share with you in our studio today, we've got Stacey Langenbahn and we have Linda Miller-deBerard. Thank you very much. And they're with Détente Collaboration Mediation. And what they do is something very unique in the marketplace today. And as part of our real estate radio network and Real Talk Texas here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we've selected this group as part of our Real Experts, as part of our panel of experts that our listeners can feel confident in calling for help when they need it. And today, we're going to talk about something that sometimes people are faced with this. It's an uncomfortable time in their life. And I met Stacey a few months ago, about a year ago, and tried to help her customers or her clients with the mortgage side of the whatever happens during the mediation here, if it ever comes to that where there's a separation. But, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was really divorce or separation, what happens when families are really faced with that, and what's the best way to get help. And it is a time in people's lives where they really need true experts that are there to keep their best interests in mind as well as their family. And in doing a little research for the show, and did some research on 2011 figures, you can find that divorce rates in the United States are anywhere between 41% and 50% for first-time marriages. The second time someone's married, the rate goes up to 67%, and the third time about 74%, which is an interesting fact. The other thing I found is that the median age of people getting married has changed throughout the years as well. In 1970, the average age of a male getting married is 22, and a woman is 20. In 1988, that jumped up to 25 years old and for men and 23% for women. And here's a really interesting thing. I think people are waiting longer in the United States to get married. 2009, that male age jumped up to 28. The median age of someone getting married in the United States today that's a male is 28, and as a female it's 26. So that's pretty interesting. And the median length of a marriage is 20.8 years. So, you know, we've got a lot of people are faced with this. It seems like almost half of the people that go in with full intentions of having a great relationship, great marriage, and all those things. I don't think anybody really goes into a marriage thinking, hey, we'll give it a try, or, you know, it's going to, you know, we'll see how this goes. Everybody goes in all in, and they make their commitments, but things happen throughout their lives, and sometimes they're faced with this difficult time. And so the reason I wanted to bring Stacey and Linda on the show today is so that you can hear something that's very different than what you hear normally, which is, you know, hey, call our law offices today and you get this price for a divorce. And it's just, you know, they're all focused on just making that transaction happen, and they don't really give people help, and they don't really listen to the people's needs throughout that. And so that's where I really would like to talk. I never really heard the term mediation. I just always heard divorce. You know, when you're ready to call it quits, they call it quits, and that's it. You know, so in meeting Stacey, she started to talk to me about how she helps her clients with mediation. And so I'd like to introduce you. We'll start with Stacey, Linda, and then Linda, I'd like for you to jump in wherever. They both have a different role within the process. One thing I will say is that Stacey Langenbahn was voted one of the top attorneys in the United States by Best Lawyers in America for both 2012 and 2013. So we are talking to a real expert. She's practiced law in the state of Texas for the last 22 years, and she's the founding member of the Academy of Professional Family Mediators. And Linda is a licensed LCSW, and she's been doing that for 28 years, and she's really considered as a divorce coach, and she's a certified couples therapist. So we have two really good experts. They handle different parts of the help that you need, which is a unique firm. And for Détente to bring that out, I think it's a great thing. And Stacey, I'd like to ask you first, Why did you come up with this, and how did it come up? And tell me a little bit about mediation.
Well, probably the best place to start is that this came from really a personal need of my own. I'm a child of divorce, and I can tell you that my parents have been divorced for over 35 years. And the thought of having them in the same room at the same time with me still makes me very nervous and upset. And when I became a family lawyer, I was a trial lawyer in the civil side for a very long time. When I became a family lawyer and I got into the courts, I realized that the advocacy I was providing for my client actually turned the couple into adversaries. And I suddenly realized one day in the courthouse, it was, in fact, that I was going to be causing to their children the same thing that I went through with my own parents. And I decided that day that I was going to do something different. I was no longer going to be part of the problem. I was going to be part of the solution. And I had a lot of training in collaborative law. And collaborative law is a wonderful process that has been developed by family attorneys, and it's now gone into the civil side as well, for probate cases, employment, medical malpractice, some other areas. Collaborative is a wonderful concept that allows families to come together, couples to come together with their own attorneys and some neutral professionals to help them work out solutions to their marriage or to the ending thereof. And I really think that process was awesome. It includes some goal setting, bringing together information, sharing information, developing options for settlement of marital issues, testing those options, and then negotiating those options to find the best solution. The thing about collaborative law that's gotten kind of difficult in this arena today, particularly in our economy, is that it tends to be rather expensive because you have two lawyers. You usually have a parenting specialist to help with the custody arrangements and the time with the parents. That process involves usually a financial specialist as well, and a mental health professional who acts as the communication coach. So when you get all those people in one room together, it gets very expensive. And unfortunately, it's gotten prohibitively expensive for some people. The other thing about the collaborative process is that those lawyers are very committed to not going to court. So committed that if the case does not settle, those lawyers will withdraw, and the parties need to get new counsel to go into trial. That has caused some people to believe that it's a very expensive process and one that they may not be able to afford if they're going to lose those lawyers.
And one of the things I've found when in research, it looks like the divorce rate seems to be dropping a little bit recently. I mean, that may be due to the economy and the cost of the divorce if you go to court.
That would absolutely be my guess, because marriage is one of the hardest jobs we ever will have, and we get no training for it. I would like to believe the divorce rate dropped because marriages are getting healthier, but I'm afraid that it's dropped because people stay in unhealthy relationships.
And there's some statistics that I've seen that show that when the drop in marriage is related to the unemployment rate. The more people who are unemployed, the higher the divorce rate, the lower the divorce rate. However, there is an inverse relationship between the divorce rate and the rate of physical family violence. So when fewer people are getting divorced, the family violence rate tends to go up. So there is definitely a relationship between those things. So one of the things that, to get back to the collaborative aspect of it, it's a wonderful process, but it's not affordable for a lot of people. And so what I did, I've actually been trained as a mediator as well. I saw a need to combine a less expensive process like mediation with some of those parts of the collaborative law process that worked really, really well.
Well, that's great. And Stacey, we're going to come back after this break. You're listening to Real Talk Texas on AM 570 KLIF. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about what exactly the collaborative mediation means to you, the listener out there. So stay tuned.